It's time for the Chips and Salsa Show.
The only show about Latinos for Latinos. And did we mention Latinos?
It's Latísima.
Latinos come in all flavors, shapes, and sizes. You don't have to be Latino to enjoy chips and salsa.
Everybody loves chips and salsa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cheryl Rosado, and thank you for joining us for Chips and Salsa today. I'm hosting today with Nicole Mercado, my very best friend. She is back.
I'm
back again. Nicole's back. Tell a
Happy
friend.
to be back, right next to you.
Yeah.
There we go. What adventure is Don Jorge on today?
Don Jorge is on probably a crazy adventure because he's still out there inspecting the polls.
Okay.
And, you know, we had that whole Windows internet fiasco of 2024 last week. So I don't know if there's any residual effects from that still going on this week or what's going on with it. But I'm sure that it's got them on their toes over there at the election department. So that's where he is today, and that's why, well, even though we hope he's doing a good job and we're proud of him for doing that, taking his part in election integrity, we are glad that it allows us for Miss Nicole to grace us with her presence.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. And so normally I'm a little fancier than I am today, but I just got this amazing T-shirt from MCRC member at large, Patty Porter. Shout out to Patty.
Hey,
Thank
Patty.
you so much for this shirt.
Whoa, go Patty.
She actually coordinated with the printer and got like 150 of these or something like that.
Limited edition.
Limited edition, yes. So either you got one or you don't.
It's all in who you know. And
Do you
if
got one?
It's in the mail. Right, Patty?
Hopefully.
I know Patty.
Yes, she knows Patty. So Patty was kind enough to gift me one of these great T-shirts, and I know that there's going to be we're going to see them out there. So thank you, Patty, for the T-shirt. And you know who else we need to thank? We need to thank the sponsor of today's show, which is Pure 5 Extraction. So thank you so much for sponsoring the show because you allow us to do what Nicole and I love to do, which is
hang out together on camera.
Yes, that's it. We just like to talk. That's us. So thank you so much to the sponsor of today's show, Pure 5 Extraction. We appreciate everything. And who do we have on today's show?
We have some pretty amazing people.
Yes.
Some young people.
Some young people.
Yes.
We are two.
Other than us.
Younger than us. Two homeschooling mothers. And so kids and education, very important topics for us.
Yes.
And one thing that we like to do is vote.
That was a great segue. Okay, so what about voting?
Voting is
July 30th. You know how
week.
I know that? Because that's a very special day in my life. But yes,
what is it?
That's my anniversary. But
happy
so that's what I'm going to do on
early anniversary.
That's what I'm going to do on that day is go vote in
be
person.
And be on Chips and Salsa because we're going to have Chips and Salsa show.
I'll be here.
We're going to do it live from a voting center. Not quite sure which one yet, but we do have some really cool stuff that we are going to be giving away. We're going to draw winners for that show. I know we have like an autographed Carrie Lake's book. What is it called? Unafraid, I think, something like that.
A pre-filled out ballot, maybe, that we can give out.
We're not Democrats. We don't have that.
Oh, that's right.
We also have an autographed Carrie Lake ball cap, and we have a big Trump 2024 sign, the yard sign. I don't know. There's rumblings. People are a little salty that those are kind of hard to get, but we got
it's
one.
all in who you know.
Yes, it's all in who you know, and you guys know me. How
Yes.
lucky you are. So
how about an autographed headshot of you?
It's on the list.
Okay.
So we'll see. I'm really excited for that giveaway. We're gonna have in the comments. We'll have a link where you can click and you can just fill out your name so that to get you into the contest. So hopefully we'll have some other prizes. We're still working on that, but we're really excited for those things. And thank you to the Trump campaign for the sign and to Carrie Lake's campaign for her autographed merch.
And if we have a huge turnout and we run out of prizes, we'll just raffle off a date with Eric.
Yes.
So
Yes. Or we'll raffle off a babysitting from Nicole.
Oh, for Nicole, not from Nicole.
Yes, you get to watch our children.
Exactly. And we have 9 combined.
But we need a girls' night out.
Yes.
But one thing, though, that we're both interested in is so we're both PCs, and we're very active in what we do. And the kids are part of it. They're part of our life. They're part of everything. And have your kids gone out canvassing, Nicole?
Oh, yes. And electioneering.
And electioneering?
Yes.
My kids, same.
Yep.
Out canvassing, out electioneering. And my oldest is 12. She's going to be 13. And I've been thinking about how can I get my children involved besides following mama around to do what I do. The answer is the Teenage Republicans. And I found out about the Teenage Republicans. I was pretty intrigued. I thought it sounded cool because I know that I would have loved something like that when I was a kid, which was a long time ago. But I just thought it was something that my kids would also enjoy. So I reached out to the advisor for Airzona, Sandy Money, and she was kind enough to give me contact information for 2 of her very favorite TARs, and they are here on the show with us today. So we have Gabby and we have Eric. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So we're so glad that you guys can be here. So go ahead and can you tell everyone your ages and how long you've been part of TARS?
So I'm 14 and I've been with TARS for about 5 months.
And I'm 15 and I've been with TARS for a year now.
And tell us your position in the TARS.
Yeah, I am the chairman of the Southeast Valley chapter, which is like LDs 11 through 14.
Nice.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And for me, I'm going to be the chairman for the Carefree Anthem chapter once it starts.
You got to take a picture like Rosie the Riveter, okay? Because you like started the chapter and you're the first chair. So, do you know Rosie the Riveter?
No.
Okay, I'll show you later. She's cool. But that's really cool. So right now, though, you're just going to the other TARS meetings, so you can kind of like learn the ropes.
Yeah, so I can learn how everything runs, because if I'm the chairman, I kind of have to know that stuff.
Right. Do you know Robert's Rules of Order?
Somewhat.
What about you?
I have been in meetings for about a year now, so I'm pretty familiar with it. I could not recite it to you, but I'm familiar with it.
Well, being familiar with it is a feat in itself because it is confusing.
Yes.
Yes.
I was the chair of my LD, and when I was sworn in as chair, I thought, I know Robert's. No, I didn't know Robert's Rules of Order. Like, it's being the chair, you will learn it because I was like, how do I say it again? Like, it's so foreign to the way that we naturally speak. But I wasn't chair very long before you get the flow of it, you get the rhythm of it, you learn it, and I really think it's cool that you guys use Robert's Rules. I mean, I was in a club in high school and we used Robert's Rules, but I don't remember it. So I'm hoping that you guys will use it a little bit better than we did maybe, and you'll be able to learn it. And then when you turn 18, you'll become PCs, right? And
That's
Maybe.
the plan, right?
that's got to be the goal.
So what's motivating you to be involved in TARS?
Do you want
And
to go
so
first?
young.
Sure. Well, from my experience with the culture and the education systems, young people are being cultivated to grow up to be really weak, which I don't want to grow up to be weak. So, I'm with the Teenage Republicans because, I want to learn how to be a good leader. I want to learn how to be useful as an adult. And also, we are given opportunities that I would not have otherwise to serve the community. Mm-hmm. So that's why I want to be in the Teenage Republicans and
And you're
stay
the chair.
involved.
So that's awesome. Yeah. How about you, Gabby?
For me, looking at how the Democrats capture the youth's attention, it kind of scares me. It's intimidating. It's like, well, we should do the same. So that's why I got involved with this, because I think when kids speak to other kids about Republican and conservative values, it really helps like the future of our country. And for me, I've been into politics since I was about 9 years old. I would copy Trump's speeches, study debate tactics. So it's something I was really interested in when I found out about it. And I told my dad, I'm like, I need to do this. So yeah.
Now, do you use those debate tactics against your dad?
No, I would get punished for sure.
Do you guys debate? Like practice debating or anything like that?
In the organization,
yeah,
right?
in the TARS.
No, for me, it was school. But for me, I want to be a politician when I'm older. So I was like, better now than later. Even though I was 9, I was very like, I'm going to be a politician. I wanted to be president someday. I'm like, I got to do this. So
President Gabby, I like it. Again, you need Rosie the Riveter. Like, she's, yes, For you, yes. So what I know, like we talked for a second earlier about an amazing opportunity that you got because of the TARS, and that is you were actually at the national convention last week.
Yeah, it was pretty surreal to be there. I mean, on the first day, I was like, it was around about 8:30 or something, and I was just sitting there thinking, I am in the same room as the President of the United States. Like, that was so surreal and just wild, and I'm not gonna get an opportunity like that again. And that was just pretty amazing to be there.
Had you never been to like a Trump rally or anything like that before?
No, we haven't really been involved, and I haven't really been involved for politics for a while, So, we don't really travel very much, so the Trump rallies and things like that aren't things
It wasn't
I've been
feasible
to.
for you before.
Nah.
Okay, so and speaking of Trump rallies, obviously President Trump was nearly assassinated not too long ago. How did that make you feel going to a place where you didn't know if I mean, obviously we knew security was going to be crazy tight after that, but did it give you any like hesitation about should I still go to this convention or?
It did not make me personally hesitant towards it because I kind of figured that, after the assassination attempt, security would be a lot tighter than it would have been otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So
that made you feel safe?
Yeah, that was pretty consoling fact. And, either way, it's an opportunity that I'm not going to get again. Being at the RNC, probably the most eventful RNC in American history.
It's an opportunity
you got to
that
see Hulk
most
Hogan.
adults, if any, that probably is the highlight. I'm just kidding.
Who was your favorite speaker?
Probably the World War II veteran on the second day, I think it was. I forgot his name, but
Wow.
it was cool to see him speak.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you think back to a time of World War II was not 100 years ago. I mean, in the 40s and what they had to go through and how the world could have changed for a worse direction at that time. You almost have to think there were kids not much older than you, like storming the beaches of Normandy and getting killed, and just to think of where we are now, so yeah, it really puts things into perspective when you can still see some of these people that lived through that time like that tell their story.
What things did you do when like it wasn't like actually Did you sit up in the like guest area?
Yeah, so we weren't going to be able to be there without Connecticut. They were being really helpful. So on the first days we were up there, but then Connecticut got us to an area off to the side on the last day on the second row, and then we even got to be on the floor for a little bit.
Oh, that's so cool. I've never been to convention, so know that we're sitting here very jealous.
I would
But
be too.
I have seen the back of President Trump, you have too,
Yes,
the way he
yes.
kind of just stands, and he's awfly tall, so
He's a
very
tall dude,
yeah,
yeah.
so that was a great experience.
But it's just I still think about it like the assassination attempt was on Saturday, and you guys left on Sunday night. Is that right?
We left Sunday morning.
Sunday morning. So I mean, did any of the other members of your group express any fear or hesitation because of that, or?
Not when we were there. When we were there, everyone is pretty committed to going. No one actually backed out that said they were going to go initially. So I didn't see anyone being really hesitant when we were about to board the plane or anything like that. But I mean, I wasn't with them when the assassination attempt happened.
Yeah. I just, I do remember I spoke to a friend of mine about it and said, I know the TARS are leaving tomorrow. Like as a mom, I think that it would have been very difficult for me to let one of my kids go. So.
Yeah. My mom is an advisor with the Teenage Republicans, so she was able to go too. She was probably very comforted by that fact, but I have very little doubt that my mom is in the same boat as that.
Yeah. Okay. And Gabby, so tell us, you had a couple speaking engagements because of TARS, right?
Yes. So I went to the Republican Women of Prescott, their meeting, just a little bit ago, and it was really cool. There was a lot of people. It was
I
definitely.
think that's one of the bigger
Yeah.
groups. Hmm.
There was a lot of people, some people running for Congress, a lot of different people I could meet, and I think that was a really good experience just to learn about like my country with all the things. They had a lot of insight, so I could learn again more about my country and how things work, and those events are really educational, I think.
Who are you making sure to get pictures with all the people you meet?
Well, during the actual event, we weren't allowed to take photos or videos, and after, everybody's doing stuff, but I did get a photo of me holding the check that was granted to the AZ teen reps. Wasn't to me, though, sadly, but to the AZ teen reps, so.
Oh, that's nice. So I know that you guys had to raise money to take your whole group to convention. What are you guys
Yes.
working on raising money for now? Don't you just had a raffle or something like that?
Yeah, so we had a raffle, to raise money for, I think it was 16 kids who went to the RNC. I don't know the exact number, so don't quote me on that. But it was a raffle. I don't know much about that. I was supposed to sell raffle tickets, but we weren't allowed to in Prescott, but that's all right, so.
So you got all your tickets sold now?
I believe.
I believe so.
All the tickets that we needed to get sold were sold.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what is the prize?
We're offering a handgun with 2 different paint jobs it can have,
That's
or lunch with Congressman David Swikert, or 2 lunches with the 2 candidates for Maricopa County Sheriff. And I think
Wow.
the drawing for that is at the MCRC
The We
building.
the People building?
Yeah, thank you. The We the People building tomorrow at 7.
So is it
Great.
all 3 are prizes, or it's just
You get to pick.
you
yeah,
get to pick? Okay.
I think 3 people win. The first one that wins gets to choose
Oh,
one of the
from
3.
all
Second
3,
person that
oh.
wins gets to choose one of the 2 that remain.
And
the
the
last
fifth person
gets-
gets whatever's left.
I think that's how it works, but I mean, I don't actually know.
Is anyone able to go and attend the drawing?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be tomorrow at 7 at We the People building, 7030 West Oakland. And I know the address because I was just there
7:30.
today.
Is it 7:30?
It's 7030 West Oakland. 7030 West Oakland. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So when you guys aren't out like fighting for the American dream among your peers, what do you do for fun?
I mean, for me, I'm involved in the Scottsdale Conservatory of Performing Arts, which they perform at like Disneyland, Coconino Fair. There's a big Christmas show with like a lot of people, so I'm excited for that. But which is
Cool.
singing and dancing at the same time. It's kind of
Oh, wow.
exhausting, but it's fun. So and basketball for me.
nice. I
Nice.
played basketball. Good job.
I don't do anything like that. I enjoy swimming. I've been doing competitive swimming all year. I also do a lot of reading and sketching in my free time.
Nice. I love to
Yeah,
read.
I don't do anything like
Organized like that.
yeah.
Nice.
I don't go to Disneyland with a group of people.
I just like. I guess if when you're a teenager, so you're not married and have children, like you have more time. Because I can't even imagine like doing all that stuff.
We sketch with crayons and things like
Yes.
that, but
We use the air fryer.
there we go.
Yes.
But
we
I
have different
mean,
interests.
for being so young, I mean, that's awesome that you guys are out there doing that, because we see how we're out doing things, and we're our age, but you guys are the next generation, so we are very excited
Right,
for
and
what you guys have going on.
And it's just, I hope that you get more participation. I know, like, my daughter's going to be joining the TARS when she turns 13, and I'm going to be working on being an advisor as well. I'm just so excited for the youth. And I know, you got Turning Point, and they're working the college campuses and stuff, but truly so much formative years is the 13, the teenage years.
Yeah.
And so if someone's interested for their child, or they know a teenager who might be interested, and they're like, hey, how can I get involved with TARS? Like, do you have some contact information, or?
Yeah, we have a state email, which I don't remember it right now, but I can find it, and then our chapter email is sevtarsaz@gmail.com, and I can get you the state email from there, and then the state also has a website with a form that you could fill out to sign up.
Okay,
great.
cool. So if you're interested, we will make sure that we write out the email address for you, or if we can get a hold of the other one, we'll include that later. And you can email them and get involved no matter where you are. There's going to be a group. And if not, you can be like Gabby and start your own chapter. So it'll be really cool.
Yep.
I'm very excited for that. So thanks, guys, for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And one thing that we didn't talk about when we were talking about the election is, did you get your PC signatures?
Yes.
To be a PC, I got my signatures. Yes.
But I think it's a tighter competition this season.
It is because
Yes.
we're actually both in contested precincts.
Yes.
Now, I'm fairly sure that in the history of RLD, there's never ever been a contested precinct before, and now there's like
Lots.
many.
So,
Yes.
I mean, is that a
So-
good sign that more people want to be involved?
Yes.
If so, that's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
If that were the sign. One thing that's awesome is that I don't personally get an early ballot because I vote in person on the day of the election, 1 day, 1 vote. But I did see an early ballot, and it was pretty crazy to have my own name. Do you get an early ballot?
No. I go and I
You go
vote
and
in person.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to see my own name, I was just, wow, like I'm on the ballot.
I'm on there for president
Yes, for president
of your
someday.
precinct.
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, I'm the precinct captain, so that's like president of the
okay.
precinct. Yeah.
Right over here. Yes.
Oh,
thank
sorry.
you.
That is like president of the precinct, right? If you're the precinct captain.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, you used to be your precinct captain, right?
I did.
But you
yeah,
ceded that to Dan.
Dan
the
Flesher,
man.
woot woot. Yep. Carver LD11.
Yes.
Fireman Dan.
Yes, he should be the PC of the decade. That man. How old is he?
Dan, okay, I don't want to reveal his age, but let's just say he's probably in his 7th decade of life. Yeah.
Yes.
But
and
Dan's legit.
He's legit, and
Yeah.
he's so willing to help. Like, he called me this morning and he's like, "What's the scuttlebutt? What's the news?" Like, he wants to know like what's going on, and he wants to know where he can help. He's poll observing. He's in the same precinct as Nicole, so he's contested. And I just hope that I know he went out and he was knocking doors to tell everyone his name, and in a way it's awkward because I'm not a politician.
No.
So it is a little awkward to be like, "Please vote for me."
Yeah.
When I don't.
I find that it's easier to help get somebody like signatures than to put yourself out there and be like, "Hey, like it's me."
Because I feel like, I wouldn't mind like knocking doors and being like, "Hey, you got to go vote for Carrie Lake. Hey, you got to go vote for Don Hyatt." I don't mind doing that. That's great. But to go and knock the door and be like, and could you vote for me? It's weird. It's very weird.
Yeah.
So it's just something that I never really thought that I would do, to ask people to vote for myself. But here we are.
Yep.
So I will be probably doing a bit of electioneering in the morning because, that's
what you do.
But with the votes, because it's not precinct style voting, it's kind of.
So everybody can just kind of
Anyone
go
can
everywhere.
go anywhere, yeah. So I could be like,
Boo.
"Hey, vote for me," and they're gonna be like,
"Who are you?"
I live in Moon Valley, or I literally don't even know where that is. Is that in Maricopa County?
Yeah, it is. It's like North Phoenix area.
Oh, okay. Because I know, like, you can vote anywhere. You can't vote anywhere in the whole state, but you can vote anywhere in the county.
Okay.
So it could be like you could be in Queen Creek, or you
Right.
can be in Anthem, or you can be in Sofo.
Sofo.
Wherever you happen to be.
That's South Phoenix, by the way.
If you
Yes.
didn't know, and you should. But yeah, so that's just something is crazy to me, like, is to go out and be so if you do live in South Mountain High Precinct, please vote for Cheryl Rosado
And Becky Hernandez.
and if you live in Carver Precinct, I don't know, vote for Nicole Mercado and
Yeah, and Dan Flesher.
yes, and Linda, his wife is running
Yeah,
this time,
Linda
too.
and Janice. Dan, Linda, and Janice Flesher.
and Nicole.
And if I'm missing your name from LD11 Carver District, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not our fault. There's like eight spots, and we don't know
Yes.
everybody. But we're doing it.
All right.
Oh, okay. So, one thing though that I did mention earlier is Nicole and I, as homeschooling moms, very, 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 very concerned about education.
Yes.
educating our
Very.
kids, helping them to grow, to learn, to love learning. Like, I don't want to just teach my kids phonics. I want them to want to learn phonics. I want them to want to learn to read. I want them to want to read. I want to cultivate that. And you know what? They're not going to get that in any public school. But they can get it from their parents, and they can get it from different...
A school they love.
A school they love, right? And they can get it from school choice. And so we have an absolute expert here to talk to us about that today, Ms. Jenny Clark. Jenny, thank you so much for being here. Jenny is with Love Your School, and that's an organization you started?
Yes, it's an organization I
Hashtag
started
goals.
5 years ago. Thank you. In Arizona. I'm an Arizona native. Grew up not too far from where we're meeting right now. Went
Moon
to public
Valley?
school.
Was it Moon Valley?
It wasn't Moon Valley. I know where Moon Valley is, girl.
See, she's an expert in everything.
It was not Moon Valley. And started this organization 5 years ago. It's a nonprofit to help families navigate their school options.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because you want every parent and every child to love their school.
Yes, absolutely. So what we do at Love Your School is help families do school searches, so know what school options are available to them, find scholarships like tuition tax credit scholarships or the empowerment scholarship, ESA, which I know we're going to talk more about, but even transitioning to homeschooling, or in some cases, a public school might be the best environment for a family, and so we help them do open enrollment and school searches in the public school environment as well. So we do it all, and we tell families, we don't make a judgment call on what education environment you choose for your child, because we trust parents to decide what environment is best for them.
Amen.
And we're just here at Love Your School to support parents that are navigating that journey, because parents don't know. I meet parents all the time. I love the story during COVID. This one mom who I knew from high school, who works not too far from here at a local dry cleaner, and she said, I really want my kids to go to this school on 32nd Street. It's so beautiful. It's open right now, COVID, all that.
Oh, yeah.
But we just can't afford it. And I said, are you talking about the charter school down the street? And she's like, yes. And I was like, that's free. And she had no idea.
Wow.
I mean, I went to high school with this gal, and so there's just so much opportunity to continue educating Arizona families about their school choice options, and we shouldn't assume that parents know about open enrollment or charters or even the ESA. There's just a lot of opportunity.
It can be very intimidating.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that I took I had signed up one of my kids, like one of the younger ones, for some little free class. But because I homeschool, I had my older one, and they had said, oh, siblings are welcome, it's fine. But when I'm there was another parent who was like, how come your daughter's not in school? And I said, oh, she's homeschooled. And it was like a little art class. So I said, so she's able to participate in this, and, this can be like art for the day. And they were like, who gives you permission to homeschool? Like, did you have to write the principal? And I was like, who gives me No, I gave myself permission.
Yeah.
Like that meme where the guy's like holding the note, I give myself permission.
I
That
do
was
what I
me.
want.
Yeah, I do what I want. I was like, no, and she was so, wow. She's like, is that legal?
Yeah.
And I said, yes, it is legal. And she said, well, but does the school like mail the papers to your house? Like, she had never heard of homeschooling. She had no idea. And I was floored. I mean, I was homeschooled for 3 years when I was growing up. So that's not like the greatest time. I know some people who were homeschooled the entire time, but it's just like I always knew that was an option. You know what I mean? And back in the 80s, it wasn't illegal, but it was technically not legal. I think they didn't have...
It was uncommon, too.
Right.
I mean, I think even back to my public school experiences and some ups and some downs, and I think of times where it was hard for me to go to school because of various situations, and if my parents had understood homeschooling or that it was even an option, my life could have even looked very different. And so I'm so thankful that actually, that's one of the only things I think that we could say that was maybe a little bit of a silver lining after the trauma of COVID is that so many families saw what their kids were learning in a traditional system or saw maybe what they weren't learning that they wanted them to know and started demanding school choice. I mean, in Arizona, you may recall that back in 2018, we tried to get a universal empowerment scholarship account passed. The governor signed it, and it got referred to the ballot, and it failed. But then fast forward to 2022, And they tried to do the same exact thing after universal ESA was passed again. This time it was much better because it was truly universal. There was no cap like there was before, no testing or anything like that. And, those different opposition groups that are anti, parent choice were completely unsuccessful. They were 50,000 signatures short. And so that's a big, I think, testament to the fact that parents, things have changed and that parents want school choice and education freedom, and parents of all walks of life. Disabilities, learning disabilities, and those types of things, they don't discriminate based on where you live or your parents' political party or your, socioeconomic background. So there's parents of all political backgrounds and all stripes that are using ESAs and that love the program for their kids, especially those families that have found an ESA who have students with disabilities.
Yes.
Can you, just for anyone who might not know, explain what ESA is?
Absolutely.
The Empowerment Scholarship.
So ESA is the Empowerment Scholarship Account Program. Nationally, 13 states have ESA programs. It's the same acronym. They're just called Education Savings Accounts. And in other states, they have different names. But Arizona's program is the best. It's the most broad and the most unique. And that's because what Arizona's ESA allows families to do is if you decide to opt out of the public school system, your district or charter school, which you can do at any time and apply for an ESA while your child is still school age, it allows you to take 90% of the state per student spending or funding for your child, and to receive that in the form of a scholarship that's managed by the Department of Education online, and to use those funds for the private school or home education environment of your choice. You can pay for tutors, curriculum, therapists, or private school tuition, a whole variety of things. And Arizona's is arguably the best because ours is tied to the state's funding formula. So it's not like a flat amount that stays the same every year like a few other states. The amount of scholarship that your child can receive goes up if your child has a disability. So for example, the average family on an ESA, first grade and above, their scholarship's around $7,500. But if you have a child that has, let's say, an autism diagnosis, which now is becoming very common. The number for boys, changes here a lot, but now they estimate about 1 in 33 boys has a diagnosis of autism, and the scholarship can go up to around $30,000 per year. And the crazy thing is that that is still less than what the public school system would be receiving for that same child. So we like to say that families who are utilizing an ESA, they're doing more with less money, with less taxpayer dollars, which is awesome. And that's what we want to see. Happy kids, happy families, and taxpayers saving money.
Right, and just giving the parents, if that school that your friend mentioned, if it had been private, then this would open that door
Exactly
for her
right.
because now price isn't the barrier that it was before.
That's exactly right. And the other really neat thing about the ESA program is not just all the families that are utilizing the scholarship. It's a renewal period right now, but there's about 70,000 families on the program here in Arizona, which is still less than 1% of all the public school eligible kids in the state. I'm sorry, less than 10%. But it's creating all these new education options. In the last 2 years, since Arizona has had a universal ESA, we've seen close to 100 micro schools open. We've seen private schools grow and expand or add new and additional campuses. We've seen more families starting homeschool co-ops. And that's something that everybody benefits from. It's educational innovation and entrepreneurship spurred on by good government policy, which is giving families back their tax dollars and allowing them to direct those funds to the education environment that works for their child. So it's really exciting stuff for families, but then also for the state as a whole. We've got this huge microchip facility going in the West Valley and all these things and expansions all over our state. And all of the employees that are coming here to Arizona because of the environment that we have here, they have kids. And so how amazing is it to be able to say, hey, not only do we want your business in Arizona, do we want those jobs to come here, but if you start your business here, your employees are going to have something that no other state,
Can offer you.
Yeah, can offer you, because our program is just so robust and so expansive. So it's a huge recruiting tool for Arizona businesses as well.
So it sounds like everyone in the whole state loves it then, right?
Well, I wish
Not
that was the
quite.
case. Yeah, I wish that was the case. And it is really unfortunate because I do talk to a lot of public school teachers or administrators who previously, maybe before COVID, were very skeptical or didn't support the ESA program. But now a lot of them are slowly starting to realize that the ESA program is really a lifesaver for those students who just didn't thrive in a traditional public school education environment. So as much as there are opposition groups out there opposing ESA and really opposing parent control of their child's education, I'm seeing more and more folks, just everyday folks and folks in the public school system, that are saying, hey, you know what? I'm not afraid of this. I'm not worried that this is going to destroy the public school system. I can see that this is a much needed option for the kids that are out there that really need it. I think of my own high school experience, kids that I knew, students that I grew up with, who would have completely benefited from a universal ESA and instead had very difficult and tragic experiences in the public school environment. So I just think over time, we are going to see less and less opposition and more support for ESA programs as they grow.
I went, like I said, I was homeschooled for a couple years, but then I also went to a private school most of the time. And the same thing though, even though it was a private school, it was, I mean, in the 90s, we didn't help students and support students and families the way that we do now. And so I think even if we'd had ESA, it would have benefited us because we could have had, speech therapy. I don't think I'd ever even heard of that when I was a kid, and different therapies that children do need, you know.
Absolutely.
And so it would just have been really beneficial instead of sort of like having kids struggle when they didn't need to.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And I just think now of how much we know about how kids learn. I mean, even the whole idea of the science of reading. I didn't really grow up with the science of reading, but now we know, we shouldn't teach kids in this way to read because it doesn't work. We should teach them in this way. But how many kids in a traditional environment had a learning disability, had dyslexia, had dysgraphia or dyscalculia or some of these other learning disabilities, and they weren't able to get the support that they need? With an ESA, you can get that personalized support. I have 3 students that are diagnosed with dyslexia. I've had 2 kids that had speech delays, and that's how we found our way to the ESA program. We would have, and we're considering, and we're meeting with a great public school district in our area, but they did not have the services for my dyslexic son. And so ESA was the way that we could afford the dyslexia interventions and remediation therapies that he needed in order to learn to read. And I know I'm not the only one that has that story.
So do your children go to a private school now?
So interestingly, this fall, we homeschooled for a very long time. And then 2 of our kids were in a private school and 3 were in a homeschool co-op, even for a while, part of last year. But in the fall, a few of our kids are starting a hybrid school, a brand new hybrid school that started in Arizona last year because of the ESA program. So they're going to be there 3 days a week. We are so excited about it. We love it. It aligns with our family's Christian worldview and faith values. And that's one of the other things I love about the ESA program is it allows families to choose an education environment and not be limited by their income or by their zip code in order to give their child an education that aligns with their values, which is something that I think every family wants.
And I think you hear that argument a lot. The public school has all the programs and like these other schools are just cherry picking whoever they want and stuff like that, which I know charter schools don't do that, but you hear it all the time and people think that it's true. And so to know that like you found ESA because the public school did not have the support programs that you wanted.
That's right. And the other thing we have to remember too is that even in the public school system, the public school system is still allowed to discriminate against students with disabilities. At Love Your School, our nonprofit, we help families every day day who suspect their child might have a learning disability and need to know what their rights are, that they can get their child evaluated. Even if they're homeschooled or in a private school, you have the legal right to get your child evaluated for a learning disability at your local public school for free. But if you have a diagnosis, if your child has what's known as an IEP, Individualized Education Plan, or a 504 plan, or some sort of disability that's impacting their education, Arizona public schools are allowed to deny you for open enrollment. And so I like to mention that. Yeah, and it's something I would love to see changed. I mention that because we will hear that argument sometimes that, oh, private schools are cherry picking their students, when I don't see that on the ground. I see private schools going, we want to serve more students with disabilities, and we want to find a way to do that. We want to get maybe even more students with disabilities so that we can offer those services.
So it makes sense for them.
So it makes sense.
That they can afford to hire a specialized person. If you only have one, but if you had three,
absolutely,
it makes a difference.
So we advocate for that all day, every day for the private schools. But we have families that have received 2, 3, 4 denials from public school systems when the parent is trying to enroll into a better district. So that's not necessarily common knowledge, but it is the case, and so it happens in the public school environment too. The other thing that we see in the public school environment that I always want to make sure parents know about is that if you suspect your child has a learning disability and your child is enrolled in a public school, district or charter, you can request an evaluation. You don't need to wait and see. You don't need to give your kid another semester. They cannot not evaluate your child based on a wait and see method. So don't delay. Finding out and knowing is better than delaying, because there is a process, and there might be teachers there that you love, administrators that you love, speech therapists or other interventionists that you love, but nobody cares more about your child than you, and you are their best
100%.
advocate. And I look back on situations where I kind of said okay to maybe less speech therapy in the public school system than I would have liked, or different things, and I wish I would have fought harder. And so I want to encourage parents to fight hard, and if you need support knowing your rights, that you can reach out to Love Your School at any time.
And I know there's been some up in the air, some changes going on at ESA.
Yeah.
Do you want to touch base on that for ESA parents like myself?
Absolutely.
Who are kind of what's going on right now?
There's been a lot that's going on. So in Arizona, our Arizona Department of Education administers the ESA program. And recently the program is coming under what I would call continued attacks from the Attorney General's
100%.
office. And on July 1st, the Attorney General's office sent a letter to the Arizona Department of Education essentially saying that we think that your office has been implementing the ESA law incorrectly when it comes to what's called supplemental materials, which are just all those extras that ESA parents may purchase. Think educational games and flashcards and things that are at the end of a curriculum that you might need for science, things like that. Well, the Department of Education responded pretty quickly that they would go ahead and implement what the Attorney General's office was asking, which was for curriculum for every single supplemental item. The thing that's fascinating about this is that for about 10 years, under multiple political parties who are running the Arizona Department of Education and therefore the ESA program, this wasn't how it worked. So Republicans and Democrats both said, hey, the law says that for some things you need curriculum and for other things you don't need curriculum. And so this news dropping right at the beginning of the school year, right at the beginning of the first quarter for ESA families, was incredibly frustrating. Mm-hmm. It's incredibly burdensome. And I'm really thankful that the Goldwater Institute just yesterday released a letter. It's a 7-page letter. You can find it on their social media, on their website. You can find it on Love Your Schools as well, essentially saying that they disagree with the Attorney General's interpretation of what ESA parents need to do and whether or not they need to have curriculum. So as ESA parents, we're all kind of waiting to see what the Arizona Department of Education does, and if they go back to we've all known, which is that there's some items that are just clearly educational, and parents should not be burdened to write curriculum for a pencil, for a flashcard, for a puzzle, for paper.
Right.
That's right.
And especially because I saw the last email that came from the Department of Education saying not only do you need to tell us that you want a pencil, but you need to say what it's for.
Yeah, and I like
It's kind of obvious.
Yes, it is obvious. And I'm not the first person to use this example, but it's like, SNAP benefits. We don't say to all of the families, far more than are on the ESA program, by the way, at far greater expense to taxpayers, this is what you have to buy, and we want to see the recipe. We want to know that you cooked it, and we want to see the nutritional value, and we want to know whether or not your child ate the food. That would just be crazy, right? Programs can't work that way.
Because it's needless red tape.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And it's funny that you brought up SNAP, because one of the things that happened last year was the whole debit card issue, right?
Yep.
So I have 4 children on ESA, and the older 3 were on ESA as soon as it opened up for Universal. I got them in, and then my youngest was too young, so when he got to kindergarten age, which was this past year, I went ahead and signed him up. But at that point, they had said no more debit cards.
Yep.
So I have debit cards where I can use them like at, I think, Barnes and Noble and Staples, which obviously books, educational things that that supplies like that. But for my youngest son, I don't.
Yep.
And I think to myself quite often, like, this is not right. It's not that it's not fair. It's not right.
Yeah.
Because would you tell somebody like, oh, we ran out of EBT cards, so you're going to have to only do reimbursement for food.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry if it doesn't work for you. You know what I mean? Or you can come to this one store in the whole state, and, if it's not convenient for you, sorry. Like, that's not how it works. You are all equal participants, and you should all have the same rights. Yeah. And I sent so many emails to advocate for my youngest son, and I still don't have a debit card for him. And unfortunately, everyone sort of seems like they're not working there anymore, that I had contact information for it when the new so I don't really know who I should start emailing about that, but because it's not right. Like, my youngest son, I talked to my cousin into pulling her daughter. She was having a lot of difficulties at her public school, and she had told me always, because my kids are mostly older than hers, and she would say, I don't know how you can homeschool. I love that idea, but I could just never do it. And I told her, you can do it, and finally got to the point where she was like, I have to pull her out. This isn't working. Tell me again about homeschooling and ESA. And so I did, and I told her, and she absolutely loves homeschooling. It is part of her heart now. And she does not have a debit card, and so she is a little frustrated sometimes. And I told her, you need to tell them that you need the debit card. This is what you want to purchase. I said, and the thing is, they do push her orders through because she is the squeaky wheel, but it shouldn't have to be like that.
It shouldn't be that way. And at Love Your School, we have continued to be one of the few nonprofits that has basically said parents need to have debit cards to access their funds. It doesn't make any sense that was stopped essentially last year by the Arizona Department of Education. Most families cannot wait 4 to 6 weeks, which is about how long it takes for orders to get processed for reimbursement. Right. And parents need to have access to their child's scholarship. The card is linked directly to, for those who may not be aware, the card is linked directly to your child's scholarship account, and it's actually coded so it can't be used anywhere.
I can't take it to Safeway.
Absolutely.
I can't take it to QT.
That's right.
Chick-fil-A.
But it allows families to get what they need instead of, like you said, being forced to shop in a single marketplace and wait sometimes 3 to 4 months for an order. That's just not feasible. So we're going to continue to fight for debit cards, and I think ESA families should continue to fight for access to their scholarship money.
Right.
I mean, we've placed orders through the marketplace because my youngest doesn't have a debit card either, and it took so long that they canceled the order.
Because the price changed.
Yes.
Right. Because you get an approval for the price
ridiculous.
you asked for, but with Amazon, like, the prices are going up and down all the time. You can't take advantage of, like, Prime Day sales.
Yep.
Or you can't take advantage.
You can't even
use your own Prime account. You know what I mean?
And this just gets to the free market idea. If we are if we support the free market and free market policies like ESAs, which are phenomenal, we should also provide free market solutions like debit cards and not say you can only shop in this enclosed marketplace for your items. No, you should be able to have access to your scholarship. You should be able to pay the tutor or the therapist that doesn't want to get on the platform and pay 2%. There's a transaction fee over there too. You should be able to access your dollars. We used to do horse therapy, and at the horse therapy appointment, we had two different people that we were paying. We were paying essentially the farm ranch person, and then we were paying the speech therapist that was there. And they only had a few clients that were ESA families, and they're like, we're not getting on this marketplace. We're not going to do this whole invoice processing thing. We just need you to pay us right now. And thankfully, because we were on the ESA program years prior, we had that debit card, and we could do that and make that happen. So a lot of these new ESA families are really being hurt
They can't utilize the full funds.
They can't utilize the funds in the most
If you can't afford the
flexible way.
reimbursement.
That's right.
And truly, I know they say, ESA is the wealthy's taken advantage of.
No.
Not true at all.
It's not true at all. And most families cannot afford to, they don't have the money to front. So they don't, it's not like, I would love to do the reimbursement, but we don't have the funds for this right now. And I know I wanted to sign my son up for a coding class with some ninja thing.
Oh, yeah, Code Ninjas.
Code Ninjas. And I said, well, is this like something that is ESA approved? I asked him, and he said, yes. And I said, I have a debit card. He goes, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because
he knew how difficult it
right.
was.
He was like, we can do that. And I was like, I have the debit card. He was like, thank goodness. Okay, yeah, we can totally do it then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know it's because there's been this influx of new ESA parents that don't have the debit card, and they are eager to use the funds because they want to better their child right away.
Absolutely. And they should be able to.
And it's difficult, and that is not right. And it's not that it's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not right.
The government should not be prohibiting people, as you've already kind of stated, from having easier access to a scholarship that their child already qualifies for. Nobody's arguing that they're not eligible for those dollars, so we should make sure that we make using those dollars as easy as possible for families.
Right, because the whole point of ESA is to support parents and families. And when you're bogging them down with all this red tape, what do you need a pencil for? That's ridiculous. That's not supporting families. And like you said, and you know what? We don't do that to the EBT families. Why are we doing this to our families who struggle for education for their children? It's wrong. It's wrong what they do.
Absolutely.
Well, Jenny, thank you so much for this
Thank
chat.
you for having
I
me.
loved having you here. I knew we were going to love our ESA chat because we were both in the ESA program, and it's been a blessing for our families.
I mean,
Completely.
our daughters wouldn't be able to do gymnastics.
Right, our
without
daughters
it,
are
and
both.
they have a very natural talent for gymnastics.
Yeah, they have a natural talent. How old is Liv?
8.
Yeah, and Sydney's 7. They're both on the girls' team. They're going to be competing for the first time this year, and it's a lot of practices. It's a lot of stuff, and thankfully ESA is supporting us in this. So we don't have to hold our girls back from their natural talent because I can't afford it. No. We're able to do this, and it's a blessing. And so I'm thankful for the ESA program, and I know it still has some warts, but I'm very thankful for it. And I hope that everyone gets out there and supports the program. You can, email all your legislators and tell them we love ESA. And even if you don't have a kid in ESA, let them know this is important for Arizona families, and we need it. And ESA families like myself and Nicole's are thankful for everyone's support on this.
We want them to love their school.
Yes, we do, because they're homeschooled.
I agree.
We want them to love their schools and their teachers.
Yeah.
So, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a giveaway next week. We'll have a link in the comments here so that you can enter, and we'll be giving away some prizes. We'll be live outside of Voting Center. Can't wait to see you guys. Bye.